China is poised to revolutionize the nuclear energy landscape. The Asian giant wants to build the world's first thorium-based molten salt nuclear power station, a development that could reshape global energy production.
Imagine a world where electricity is virtually free, clean and abundant, lasting for thousands of years without the risks of pollution or meltdown. It sounds too good to be true, right? Well, China has just uncovered a breakthrough so powerful it could change the course of human history. A discovery that could not only end energy shortages, but also potentially reshape global power dynamics forever. Forget solar, wind, or even nuclear. This new solution could be the holy grail of energy. But there's more to it. A rare element has just sparked a high-stakes global race, and the competition is heating up. Stick around, you won't believe what's coming. China's groundbreaking thorium discovery. China has achieved a historical breakthrough in its search for clean, plentiful energy with the identification of enormous reserves of thorium. The greatest discovery was in the Bayan Obo mining complex in Inner Mongolia, most renowned for containing rare earth elements. Geologists have estimated that China holds more than 1 million tons of thorium, a fuel that, if exploited, could potentially energize the country for more than 60,000 years. This finding solidifies China as a leader in the next-generation nuclear revolution, leading the charge toward the abandonment of fossil fuels and conventional uranium-based nuclear energy. What makes this discovery significant is not only the enormity of thorium, but also its strategic relevance. China has controlled the rare earth minerals market for years, and with this thorium find, it again secures its grip on major energy sources. While uranium needs to be imported by most countries, thorium is abundant in Chinese land itself, making it energy independent and energy secure. Such independence would lessen China's dependence on unpredictable world energy markets and shield the nation from oil and gas price instability. China isn't simply waiting for its thorium deposits, it is banking on the technology to tap the resource. China has initiated several studies into molten salt reactors, a more efficient and safer form of nuclear power that uses thorium instead of uranium. China's government has also planned to build the world's first commercial thorium reactor, and it will start operating in the next few years. All these efforts are a remarkable shift in the energy landscape of the world, since China is shifting into an era fueled by a cleaner and more sustainable source of energy than ever before on a mass scale. The importance of China's thorium discovery extends well beyond its borders. With proper development, thorium-based power might be a model for other countries with energy deficits and pollution issues. As China continues to lead the way in thorium research and reactor deployment, other nations will become more reliant on Chinese technology and expertise, cementing China's position as the leader in the global energy race. This find is not merely about energy, it is about economic dominance, geopolitical dominance, and a redefinition of the future of clean, boundless energy. Well, this is just the beginning. Let's see how this affects the world in many ways. We'll start by diving deep into energy crisis, the energy crisis, and the search for alternatives. The world is facing an energy crisis that has never been so acute previously. With growing populations and economies, global demand for electricity is on the increase. But the same resources upon which modern society has hitherto depended, fossil fuels in the guise of coal, oil, and natural gas, are more and more failing to meet the challenge. These fuels, when thought of as being plentiful and guaranteed, are now regarded as the main perpetrators of environmental degradation, global warming, and geopolitical strife. While the world grapples with the devastating impacts of pollution, climate catastrophes, and rising energy costs, the need for alternative, renewable sources of energy has never been more evident. Not only are fossil fuels helping to destroy the planet, but they are becoming more unstable. Oil-producing countries are fighting each other for power, and political forces are breaking up supply chains worldwide, creating price increases and energy shortages. These resources, as a secondary caveat, are also limited, i.e., they will eventually be depleted, a scary prospect for any nation dependent on them heavily. Despite tremendous investments in other sources of power like wind, sun, and water, the reality is that these alternatives alone cannot be the sole solution. While these green technologies hold much promise, their intermittent nature, combined with the reality that there is still no capacity for energy storage, means that they cannot yet be the sole answer to the world's energy requirements. While fossil fuels and renewables fail to meet the expanding energy deficit, a breakthrough, a source of energy that is limitless, consistent, and renewable, is what the world so desperately needs. In pursuing this alternative, scientists, governments, and industries have turned away from conventional means. Nuclear energy, which had been viewed for so long as a mighty yet divisive energy source, has become a viable contender for the leading role in the global energy challenge. Still, even nuclear is not without its own set of problems such as safety issues, disposal of radioactive wastes, and the prohibitive cost of its infrastructure. This leads us to a very key juncture. The world's future energy needs will presumably be defined by new and exciting technologies. These include thorium, a naturally available, far more secure, and very efficient material that can possibly transform the whole energy map of the world. Its properties make it an extremely promising option for the future of power production, one that may supplant uranium as the dominant nuclear fuel source within the near future. What differentiates thorium is that it can generate energy without the capability for global, catastrophic disaster associated with uranium-fueled reactors, and the potential to power the world for centuries without exhausting our resources. With nations of the world increasingly pursuing energy independence and sustainability, the stakes are higher than ever before. Will the world remain reliant on old and environmentally damaging fossil fuels? Or will the world embark on a new era of safe, clean, and abundant energy? The answer to this question will not only define the future of energy, but also have profound implications for the global economy, politics, and global warming. What is thorium, the underrated energy powerhouse? Thorium is a naturally radioactive, mildly radioactive metal with immense energy potential. Thorium was named after the Norse god Thor and is a silvery white compound found in gigantic deposits throughout the Earth's crust, 3 or 4 times as common as uranium. Though so commonly found and having such vast potential for the generation of energy, thorium has remained relatively underdeveloped as a source of nuclear power. In the past, energy policy and investment in technology favored uranium due to its potential to be weaponized, while thorium had been relegated. But with increasing global energy needs and worries about the safety of nuclear power and nuclear waste, thorium has recently been renewed as a cleaner and greener alternative fuel. Easily the strongest argument in favor of thorium is the effectiveness of the substance. When thorium is used as fuel in nuclear reactors, it will go through what is termed a process of nuclear transmutation, where it will become uranium-233, an extremely effective fuel source. This means that thorium produces a significantly greater energy output per unit than standard uranium-fueled reactors. Thorium reactors also produce much less long-lived nuclear waste, another of the nuclear power industry's largest criticisms. This lower waste profile is one reason thorium is a cleaner alternative, in that it has the ability to fuel large applications without adding to the long-term nuclear waste depository issue found with uranium reactors. Safety is the second major issue that differentiates thorium from uranium. Thorium reactors, especially those based on molten salt technology, are of lower pressure compared to uranium reactors, which utilize enriched fuel as well as high-pressure systems, considerably reducing the risk of meltdown catastrophes. Moreover, the waste materials obtained in thorium-based reactions are much less suitable for the creation of nuclear weapons, and hence it is a politically less controversial source of power. This non-proliferation advantage could result in wider application of thorium reactors, particularly among nations desiring to build their nuclear power capability without the uranium fuel cycle threats. Though it has various advantages, thorium remains to be universally adopted due to historical, political, and economic factors. The global nuclear establishment is heavily invested in uranium technology, and a switch to thorium would be an expensive and complicated affair. There has been a lack of research and development funds over the years that have hindered progress in commercializing thorium reactors. But with the growing need for clean and efficient power sources, thorium-based nuclear technology is now being utilized in large amounts by most nations, most significantly China. With growth and exploration speeding up, thorium is poised to play a central role in the coming era of clean power. How thorium reactors work. Thorium reactors function on a totally different principle from conventional uranium-type reactors, are safer, more efficient, and less prone to cause catastrophic malfunctions. The most promising application of thorium is the molten salt reactor, MSR, in which thorium is spread out within a molten fluoride or chloride salt matrix. In comparison to traditional solid fuel rod-type nuclear reactors with high-pressure cooling systems, MSRs operate at atmospheric pressure, which in fact precludes any chance of explosion or meltdown. Moreover, the liquid fuel state is such that there is a natural self-sustaining process going on, where the reaction decreases automatically if the temperature rises above a certain point. The method to use thorium as an energy source is to convert it. Thorium in itself is not a fissile element, i.e., it will not sustain a nuclear chain reaction, but if exposed to a neutron source, such as uranium-235 or plutonium-239, the thorium absorbs neutrons and is converted to uranium-233, U-233, which is a good nuclear fuel. Once formed, U-233 fissions release enormous quantities of energy with much lower long-lived radioactive waste than reactors that utilize uranium or plutonium would generate. Thorium reactors are thus greatly sought after by countries that wish to diminish nuclear waste storage issues. One of the most revolutionary aspects of thorium-fueled MSRs is their built-in safety features. Unlike uranium reactors with an overheating and meltdown risk, molten salt reactors have a unique safety feature: a freeze plug made of solidified salt shape. If the system overheats or breaks down, this plug will melt and drain the liquid fuel into a contained safety space where it releases its heat naturally and solidifies, stopping the reaction. This passive safety system eliminates emergency cooling methods, and thorium reactors are much less likely to fall victim to disasters like Chernobyl or Fukushima. The thorium reactor's efficiency is not limited to their safety aspect. The reactors are capable of burning at very high temperatures than conventional nuclear power plants. Thus, they are more efficient in generating electricity as well as industrial heat applications. Besides that, the natural abundance and consumability of thorium in almost all of the reactors translate to less fuel being consumed, which reduces operating costs in the long run. While countries seek cleaner and stronger sources of energy, thorium reactors are a revolutionary technology that has the potential to re-engineer the future of nuclear power, the safer, cleaner, and more efficient choice. Thorium and uranium are both potential nuclear fuels, but are very different regarding safety, production of wastes, and efficiency. Uranium has been used as the primary fuel of nuclear reactors since the mid-20th century, largely due to its use in the construction of weapons and existing infrastructure. Yet, reactors based on uranium are badly defective, including possible meltdown and generation of enormous quantities of long-lived radioactive wastes. Thorium, on the other hand, has a less chance of a meltdown and is more sustainable in terms of a fuel cycle. Compared to uranium reactors at high pressure and enriched fuel, thorium MSRs operate at lower pressure and contain liquid fuel that reduces the chance of a meltdown. One of the best things about thorium compared to uranium is its waste profile. Typical uranium reactors produce highly radioactive isotopes that are dangerous for tens of thousands of years and will need to be stored and protected for so long a period of time. Thorium reactors produce much less long-lived radioactive waste, with estimates indicating that the decrease could be as much as 90% of nuclear byproducts. Additionally, thorium reaction byproducts are less feasible for weaponization, and thus more politically desirable and proliferation-prone compared to uranium. Therefore, countries that pursue the utilization of thorium as energy do not need to operate in the same high-stakes international regulatory environments that applications with uranium function in. Efficiency is another place where thorium has a clear advantage. A ton of thorium can produce as much energy as 200 tons of uranium, or 3.5 million tons of coal. So it is a very dense and intense source of energy. Thorium reactors also have the capability of achieving near total fuel utilization, which is to say that almost all of the thorium placed in a reactor is converted into usable energy. In contrast, traditional uranium reactors only use a fraction of their fuel before it becomes waste. Not only does this make thorium more efficient in terms of energy, but it also implies that there is less need for frequent refueling, which reduces the costs of operating the system and makes the technology financially superior in the long run. Despite these clear advantages, uranium is the globe's nuclear power choice simply due to previous investment and installed infrastructure. The technology for the nuclear industry has evolved around uranium, including reactor designs and fuel supply chains, and changing to thorium would be a complex and costly undertaking. However, as concerns about nuclear waste, reactor safety, and energy security grow, interest in thorium is steadily emerging. Countries that are investing in third-generation nuclear technology, particularly China, are leading the world in showing thorium's capacity to be a clean, safe, and efficient energy game-changer for the future. If technology using thorium continues its progress, it has the potential to replace uranium as the fuel source of choice for nuclear power in the near future, ushering in a new era of sustainable energy. But as thorium rises as the safer, more efficient choice, it's China's strategic move to harness this energy that could dramatically shift the global balance of power. China's energy supremacy and the global power shift. China's swift developments in thorium-based energy are not only a technological advance, they are a harbinger of a new global balance of power. For decades, energy resources like oil, natural gas, and uranium have controlled geopolitics, with countries vying for dominance over these finite resources. However, China's investment in thorium nuclear technology has the potential to make it independent of foreign sources of energy, and this would be a significant strategic advantage over nations that remain dependent on fossil fuels or conventional uranium reactors. This independence will not only make China's economy stronger, but also make it a leading player in the world's energy markets. By being the first to develop thorium reactors, China positions itself as the global leader in exporting next-generation nuclear technology. Such nations facing an energy deficit, along with concerns about the environmental impact, might shortly thereafter look towards China for consulting, reactor plans, and fuel production as well. This will present China with unparalleled bargaining power, similar to the hold that nations such as oil-emitting states enjoy in politics throughout the globe. While Western nations squabble over energy policy and grapple with archaic infrastructure, China is constructing the pillars of an energy-secure future, futures that might have it calling the shots in energy commerce for decades to come. China's thorium policy also fits into its overall attempt to decrease dependence on Western control of energy. Most countries remain reliant on imported uranium from nations such as Australia, Canada, and Kazakhstan to power their nuclear reactors, exposing them to supply shocks and geopolitical stress. But with its massive thorium deposits and cutting-edge reactor development, China is progressing toward total energy independence. If it succeeds, it will no longer have to depend on importing uranium, oil shipments, or foreign-controlled natural gas pipelines, allowing it to enjoy a degree of energy security few countries can. The international consequences of China's advances in thorium technology are staggering. If China is successful in the massive deployment of thorium reactors, while other countries are still dependent on traditional sources of energy, it has the potential to establish an economic and technological gap that reorients power away from the West. Other countries that cannot keep up with China's energy technologies have the potential to be more and more reliant on Chinese-built infrastructure and technology. This shift represents a turning point in history, one where the next superpower is not necessarily one of military might, but of clean, infinite energy mastery. The end of fossil fuel wars? Since more than a century ago, fossil fuels have remained at the root of international strife, economic competition, and political intrigue. Armies have battled, regimes have toppled, and alliances have been made, each for the purpose of guaranteeing oil, natural gas, and coal supply. The Earth's reliance on these limited materials has brought on economic volatility, energy crises, and ecological damage. However, the discovery of thorium as a plausible alternative energy source has the capacity to break the resource conflict cycle and redefine the global energy profile. With its almost limitless availability and decentralized dissemination, thorium may render the strategic value of fossil fuel reserves moot, dissipating tensions between energy-dependent nations. One of the main causes of fossil fuel conflicts has been energy dependence. Those nations that do not possess their own rich oil and gas deposits have been forced to import it, usually at the mercy of price fluctuations, supply disruptions, and political manipulation by energy-wealthy nations. Yet, not only is thorium more abundant than uranium, but it also occurs geologically in many places, so that no nation-state would have a monopoly on its supply. This broad availability may lessen the energy-related power imbalances that have driven geopolitical tensions in the past, opening the way to a more stable and collaborative global energy market. In addition to security issues, thorium's ability to displace fossil fuels in electricity production has the potential to drive the world towards clean energy faster and remove the economic motivations for fossil fuel-based warfare. Several oil-producing countries have relied on their oil reserves for economic hegemony for years, but with decreasing demand for oil as thorium and alternative energy improve, the geopolitical clout of such nations could decline. As countries grow more energy independent, dependence on foreign fuel decreases, lessening the risk of pipeline, shipping lane, and territorial disputes linked to fossil fuel resources. Though thorium-based energy will not eradicate international conflicts globally, it might reorient the politics of energy. Rather than competing in the pursuit of dominance over scarce resources, nations may direct their efforts toward developing nuclear technology, enhancing reactor designs, and cooperating on safe energy options. The transition away from fossil fuel reliance would be the start of a new era in which energy security no longer is a cause of global instability, but instead a platform for cooperation, innovation, and economic development. If adopted en masse, thorium may be the solution to bringing an end to fossil fuel-based conflicts and entering a new era of energy peace. Plan for thorium-powered technologies. China's ambitious energy strategy goes beyond just research and development. It aims to integrate thorium-based nuclear power into its national infrastructure. The country has already laid the groundwork for the world's first commercial thorium molten salt reactor, with initial testing phases completed and full-scale deployment planned in the coming years. The ultimate vision is building entire cities fueled by thorium reactors, weaning the country off coal-burning plants and providing stable, clean energy for expanding urban populations. It is a central component of China's overall plan to become carbon neutral by 2060 and become the leading power in next-generation energy technology. As opposed to conventional uranium-fueled nuclear reactors, thorium reactors are more flexible for decentralized energy generation, that is, being constructed near population centers without safety issues. This is particularly important for China, a nation of fast-expanding megacities that need tremendous amounts of power. By using modular thorium reactors, China will be able to develop self-sustaining, energy-independent cities where green power is locally produced instead of being transmitted from coal or hydroelectric power over long distances. This would be much less prone to transmission loss, more efficient, and ensure energy access reliably even in outlying areas. Apart from city electricity grids, China is also incorporating thorium energy into its transport and industrial systems. High-speed rail systems, industrial production centers, and even desalination facilities are envisioned to be powered by thorium reactors to fight water scarcity. By lowering the reliance on fossil fuels, China is not just eliminating emissions, but also lowering the geopolitical risks of importing energy. If it works, this infrastructure change could be replicated in other countries that want to move to cleaner and more efficient energy systems. China's vision for thorium-powered infrastructure has international repercussions. If thorium technology is found to be scalable and affordable, it may unleash a global energy revolution. Other nations might be compelled to use comparable reactor designs or depend on China for energy technology and know-how. China might establish the world standard for next-generation nuclear power with patents, supply chains, and operating experience in thorium reactors. Such a transition would not merely restructure international energy markets, but also make China the uncontested champion of clean energy innovation for the 21st century. The West's struggle to keep up. As China speeds up its thorium-based nuclear energy push, Western countries are increasingly finding it difficult to keep up. The United States and European nations have, for decades, concentrated their nuclear energy programs on uranium-based reactors, pouring resources into infrastructure, supply chains, and regulations that benefit conventional nuclear technology. A switch to thorium would mean an entire system change, from reactor designs to fuel processing techniques to safety procedures. The sheer cost and logistical complexity of making this shift have caused many Western governments to hesitate, leaving China with a significant head start in the development of next-generation nuclear power. Political and regulatory barriers also have a significant role in delaying the West's uptake of thorium energy. Uranium has been deeply rooted in the nuclear sector because it can be used for both energy generation and weapons production, and thus governments find it hard to give up their current nuclear programs. Moreover, nations such as the United States encounter bureaucratic hurdles in the approval of new reactor designs since regulatory bodies call for lengthy safety assessments and years of testing before issuing commercial licenses. While China proceeds rapidly with government-sponsored investments and accelerated research, Western countries continue to be entangled in slow approval procedures and political controversies regarding nuclear energy policy. Another principal challenge is politics and public perception. Nuclear power has long been controversial in much of the West because of previous accidents such as Chernobyl and Fukushima, which have created lingering fears regarding reactor safety. Despite the built-in safety features of thorium, governments are still wary of supporting nuclear growth for fear of public opposition. Environmental groups and anti-nuclear campaign groups continue to pressure policymakers to turn their attention to renewable technologies such as wind and solar, even though the scope of these technologies to supply global energy needs is limited. Opposition has further postponed Western investment in thorium research and reactor design. Due to these difficulties, the West stands to lose out in what could be the most important energy transition of the 21st century. Although certain private firms and research laboratories in Europe and the US are investigating thorium technology, they lack the large-scale government support that China has committed to the program. Unless Western countries move rapidly to surmount these obstacles, they can expect to become reliant on China for high-level nuclear technology, a situation that would transfer energy power around the world for the next several decades. To be competitive, Western governments need to think about their nuclear policy differently. make regulatory procedures more efficient, and invest heavily in thorium research before the gap becomes too great to bridge. But the question remains, will the West overcome its obstacles in time to join the global energy revolution China is already leading? What this means for the future. The emergence of thorium nuclear power is a paradigm shift in world energy systems, capable of reshaping economies, reconfiguring geopolitical power dynamics, and propelling a sustainable energy future. In contrast to fossil fuels, which are finite and politically unstable, or uranium, which is accompanied by safety and waste issues, thorium presents a cleaner, safer, and nearly boundless energy source. Those nations that effectively incorporate thorium into their energy portfolio will achieve energy independence, economic security, and an advantage in international innovation. With broad acceptance, thorium reactors might become the replacement for coal and natural gas power plants, significantly curbing carbon emissions and slowing climate change. China's rapid drive towards thorium-based nuclear energy may speed up worldwide uptake as other countries are compelled to follow suit or be left behind. As China develops molten salt reactors for commercial use and increases thorium-powered infrastructure, it will also export its technology and know-how to nations that are grappling with energy security. This implies that developing countries can access cheap and clean electricity without having to depend on fossil fuel imports or legacy power grids. If thorium is to become the new energy norm globally, China's leadership in nuclear technology will be cemented, potentially disrupting the stranglehold of conventional energy superpowers such as the US, Russia, and the Middle East. But for such an energy revolution to become widespread, Western powers have to scale over their regulatory, economic, and political challenges to thorium use. Authorities need to subsidize research and development, decentralize regulation, and offer rewards to the private sector to advance innovation. To abandon uranium would be difficult, but the costs of the end benefit of safety, efficiency, and eco-friendly qualities of thorium far outstrip the charges. If Western countries do not act swiftly, they could find themselves relying on China for next-generation nuclear technology, marking a major shift in the global energy balance. In the end, the advent of thorium energy is not merely a matter of powering cities or industry, it is about reordering the world. The countries that are ahead in thorium development will determine the future of clean energy, and those who procrastinate may find themselves at a disadvantage in an age characterized by energy self-sufficiency. The shift to thorium heralds the dawn of a new technological and industrial revolution, one that could eradicate the use of fossil fuels, limit geopolitical tension about energy, and build a cleaner, greener world. Now, though, is the question: who will lead the charge to this new future, and who will get left behind? If you found this breakthrough as mind-blowing as we did, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more game-changing updates. We've got even more incredible content lined up, so click on the next video on your screen to dive deeper into the future of energy. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for what's next.